Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and this is Thursday, January the 10th. Had a little movement today, a little more volume. There weren't a lot of entries, but there were more than there have been, and there were a few decent moves. So let's talk about each one. As you can see, I see this as a trading range day. We had a failed breakout the low side, and then we broke out the top side, and we're still going higher. So it could be that we're going to get an equal leg, and you see that leg right there, and then you got the correction, and let's just see if, just measure that, and that's probably more realistic. We're probably looking at a measured leg like that right here, and we actually have already outdone that, but this is in the after hours, and crazy things like this happen in the after hours. But for the most part, we got a measured move. But then too, to show you what I was looking at on this afternoon, there's leg one, then you got a two-legged correction, and generally after you get a two-legged correction like that, sometimes you'll get another equal leg, and if you move that up, or you see that's exactly what we got before the close. So that worked out great. It got a little choppy up here, but that's because there were a lot of people that were looking at this trading range, and so there was a lot of resistance, a lot of sell orders up here, and so forth. So, but there's a clear channel here, a clear channel down, and another clear channel up. And so let's talk about each trade. There's not very many of them. This won't take long today. I've got a meeting this evening, so I got to get out of here a little early anyway, so I'm going to make this one pretty quick. But the market opened right in here somewhere. It was too early. We did have an overshoot, but at this point, you're not sure that this channel, I wasn't 100% sure on this channel, and I wasn't sure if the channel wasn't really down here either, or if it was right here. I believe this was probably the channel right here. And the way I got this line was off these tops. I drew it off these first couple of swings right through here. Looks like we got a little bit of an overshoot right here, and then we got a double top and a reversal. And it's really better to wait until you get a bearish bar, especially if you're trying to catch a top or whatever, and then you got one and it's so big it's almost back, it's too late. And even if you'd have dropped your order back here in the middle, it wouldn't have got filled until maybe way over here, and then that's too risky because this is really out of play by that time. So there's new reasons to enter over here. So, and then we went into this chop. So there's just not really any decent setups yet. And the way I got this channel is I drew it off of these lows right here and copied it and then brought it up. And so that's how I came about this channel in the end. And you can see when you got down here, it was coming into play. But then there was support across here, it actually was stronger, so we weren't making new lows, and then we turned and went to the upper side of the channel, and we did break out, and we didn't go anywhere really, but we didn't come back inside the channel. So it'd be interesting to see where we go from here. But anyway, the first real, we got this channel, we got an uptrend. This is the first break that you could really see that I felt was a real break. And so we were looking for a retest of the high. So that's the reason I like this long. It took a little bit to work out, but it did work out. No runners or anything. And then let me move this down for now. You can see those highs right across. So we had resistance. So you had a failed break higher here. I really would probably call that right there. And you got a failed break higher and reversal. And there's plenty of room before these lows down here. And so this is a nice bearish bar. So you could have gone short right there. It's better to wait on a second entry. You got one right here, but it never triggered. And then you got a second chance to get in right here. And notice here, you got this new high, you got to pull back, you got a first entry long and then a second entry long, and that's a nice bullish bar. No reason to enter long here because we're near the high of all this resistance, and then it turns down, and that's a very bearish bar. So now you got trap longs, you got a failed second entry long. Look at that bar, and if you tried to play around with this trade, you probably missed it. You had to have a stop order down here to get filled, and it was off to the races. So this was really the best trade of the morning until we caught this failed break down here, and it was a nice easy move down. Any runners were safe. You probably should have considered exiting them in here. So, about 3 or 4 points is what you could have gotten out of your run. If you want to be more aggressive, you could have ridden it down a little bit lower here. But when you had this support across here and we bounced a few times, that's not a good sign. And generally that's a sign to exit. But then you got this pattern right here, which is just this pattern all over again. And if you look, it's almost an identical pattern. If you move this down, we broke out of it, turned, and look at that reversal bar. Nice place to go short, enough room to get out before getting to these lows, and it actually went a little bit lower. You might have considered going long here since this was a failed break. And I meant to circle that in green, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. You would have had to get out of this one. So unless you wanted to give it some extra room. Actually, let me just say, I didn't take it because I was still short, so I was toying with a short. But if your stop was down, if you entered here, you entered 1457.75. So yeah, you would have just got stopped out to the tick on that, the 2-point stop. So you you probably would have gotten shaken out of that one. No way I would have ridden out that big bearish looking move right there. I mean, as soon as I saw that bearish line right there, I would have exited or maybe even reversed there because that's going to be a breakout pullback short. Didn't go much further than that, but again, I was still in this short, so was kind of playing with it, and so didn't take this long right here. Actually, they came back and would have gotten any runners on this one too right here, and then it made another leg down, and you can see there's leg 1 and then leg 2, and it missed it by a tick or so from being a measured leg. And you might have even looked, show you this one too since we got a little extra time here. This is going to be a rather short. You got leg 1, and then you got leg 2, and then you got another leg. And what will happen a lot of times, if this leg is bigger than the first leg and you get that third leg, the third leg will be very similar to this first leg up here. And look at that, it's actually to the tick. So you see that, but then you see this next leg is a little bit larger, and I've noticed that quite often. Nothing's 100%, but you'll see that quite often, is that when you get a smaller leg and then a big middle leg and you go to make a third leg, it will be similar in length or size to the first leg, and you can see that one's it to the tick. So pretty interesting there. But this was a nice reversal bar here. I tried to get long right here off these matching lows, couldn't get long. So when we broke higher here and this closed bullish, I put a buy stop right here. And guess what? Any runners were safe on this one, and you could have ridden this all the way out to the close of the day, way up here. And but actually what I do is I exited when we overshot this trend channel. I exited this. Actually, I think I exited right here in the chop right here. So I exited this one right here and then re-entered right here. And again, any runners were safe. And I didn't make any more trades today. I just kind of rode this out. And when we started to pull back, when we finally got a couple of bars going lower, I went ahead and exited there. And almost got as much as you could get out of that today. So some pretty good moves, a lot better than yesterday or the day before, I do believe. But again, if you don't catch one or two of these particular trades, there's only a couple of them that you get runners. So if you don't catch those, it's just basically scalping. And you know, there's not any good entries in this right here. There's certainly not any entries up here. I don't even like this right here, but you can't ignore these big reversal bars when there's trap traders and so forth. So, but again, notice that this pattern, you can see it right here, the highs and the little failed break, and then you got kind of the same thing right here. And I mean, that pattern is almost an identical pattern. And if you hadn't heard me say that before, in case you're new, if you see a pattern during the day and you see it repeat, generally you're going to get the same outcome. And this one had a very nice move down. And while this one was choppier, it still had a very nice move down. So just remember that when you see a pattern and it repeats itself, and it's kind of like this pattern right here, it repeated itself up here. And you'll see that kind of stuff. So just remember, if you see a pattern and it repeats itself, you're going to get a similar type outcome. So just keep that in mind and just watch for it. So, but anyway, hope you had a good trading day. We got one more day in this first week. I was hoping for a lot of times this first week or two of January when you come back, the market really moves because it's been stoic for a while and people have been off and people are eager, but it's just not happening really now. I mean, we did get some nice movement today, but still nothing like, what we've seen in the past. And so one day this market's going to come back and start trending really well. And when it does that, that's when you get a chance to really make some money. And we're waiting for those kind of days. I know they had one on the last day of the year. Of course, when I wasn't trading, I think we had about a 28 or 30 point move that day. And that used to be really common in the ES, and you don't see it as much anymore. But this is still the market of choice because I know it like the back of my hand, and that's what you want to do. You want to find the market. If you don't like the ES, find one you do like and become an expert in that particular market. I know a lot of people like to open up all these screens and watch all these different markets, but excuse me, but I just think that's a mistake. I think you're better off to find one market that you like to trade, that you understand, and become an expert in that market and just watch that one chart, because it's hard enough to get it right watching a single chart. When you start watching two or three, you'll get distracted with one, and generally the markets all have a similar type movement. Either they move in together or they move in opposites. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're trading oil. Generally, if the ES suddenly starts moving, oil will suddenly start moving. It may be moving in the opposite direction, but it'll start moving. And if if the dollar, if you like trading the dollar index or something like that, if the dollar starts going up, a lot of times the market will go down. I've noticed lately they've been kind of moving together. Don't know exactly what that means. Doesn't really matter. Just follow the price action, and just know that it doesn't really matter what market you pick. Just pick one you like and you feel comfortable in, and become an expert in that market. So. But anyway, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. I'm going to wrap it up, and we'll see you tomorrow.